Good morning. Hi, I'm Kathy Bates with Practical Solutions, and today we're going live talking about kitchen organization. We all know the kitchen tends to be the center of the home where people gather, where stuff gathers. Sometimes a lot of things get left here that really shouldn't be, get stored here that really shouldn't be. So today we're going to talk about organizing those spaces because it's really important. It's always important to eat at home, eat healthy, eat as a family. All those things are important, but especially now that we are spending more time at home and more time eating at home, it's particularly important to have a space that doesn't frustrate you, where you can prepare a meal and not spend all day in your kitchen. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. So as always, I'm going to talk about the first step, which is get rid of what you don't need. We're going to purge. So we all have stuff in our kitchen we don't need. It gets locked behind those doors, and we don't really realize till we go through it that we're not using it. So, for instance, you might have duplicates, 2 spatulas. Sometimes you need 2 spatulas, but in most instances, you have duplicates of things. Pick one that you really love, and we will donate the rest. So then you have things like gadgets you thought would be a great idea, but they're not. You never use it. I never use this thing, so I might as well get rid of it. Maybe some expired food. Don't donate that, but throw that in the trash. Then you have things like mismatched plasticware, tops where you don't have bottoms, so let that go. Go through there, get rid of anything like these cups you pick up and somehow they just live in your cabinet, even though you have a lot nicer ones. Anything you don't use, let it go because you're going to free up space because you really want your cabinets to have a lot of room, your drawers to have a lot of room. When you cram them full of stuff, you can't find anything you need. And all that stuff we don't need is in the way. Then you might run across things like your turkey baster or a big turkey pan that are taking up a lot of space in your kitchen. If you have a small kitchen and limited space, those things might be good to store in a box, in the garage, in a closet somewhere, and pull them out just at Thanksgiving when you need them, that once a year. And then the rest of the time, you have that space in your kitchen because that can take up a lot of space. And then you'll run across things like that don't belong in the kitchen. Put those in a box to go elsewhere and be put away. When it comes to things in the kitchen that don't belong, I find all kinds of things. Paperwork, junk, all that stuff that accumulates on the counter. Sometimes people just scoop it into the drawer and all of a sudden they've got 5 junk drawers in a kitchen with only 7 drawers. And so they don't have enough room for their utensils and the things that actually belong in the kitchen. So I encourage you to have max 1 junk drawer. You probably don't need more than 1 junk drawer. I don't even have one at all because I have limited drawer space. A lot of those things you keep in your junk drawer, you could just as easily run out to the garage for a razor knife or to another area in the home. You don't use those things that often. So, surfaces. You definitely want to keep your surfaces clear. When you are preparing a meal, it's always frustrating when there are dirty dishes out, piles of homework, whatever gathers on your countertop. So try to keep them clear. I like to keep things like a toaster oven and a coffee maker out because I use those daily. So if you use it daily, you might want to leave it out because it is so important. But that doesn't mean you need the Instant Pot, the crock pot, the rice cooker, every little gadget you ever had out on your counter because that can leave you no space to work. And you want to have efficient workspaces. So those things that you use less often, maybe put them away below in the cabinets. So then after we've gotten rid of everything in the kitchen that doesn't belong, expired food, anything we haven't used in a while, we're going to start to organize. So you want to think of your kitchen and order and how you function in it. So obviously things like utensils are near the stove, dish towels near the sink, pots and pans near the stove, glasses and cups in one cabinet, dishes in another. So think about putting like items together and where you want to store them. This may mean taking a lot out. It may be just rearranging some. But think about where you want to put them, and then think about maximizing that space. So you, of course, want to use some containers. I don't have an overabundance of containers in my kitchen, but there is something out there for every problem you run into in your kitchen. So I'm going to talk about some of the basics today. So let's talk about drawers. Drawers need to be divided out. If not, everything just kind of falls in there and you can't find it. So very, very, very basic. Almost everyone has these. Silverware organizer. So you have all your silverware divided out in a drawer. And then you have things like your utensils that you keep near the stove in a drawer sectioned out. Again, I have spatulas, spoons, other stuff. So that when I need to find it, I know exactly where it is. Then you'll want to have a little bit of filler in those spaces. So not all those containers take up the entire drawer. So fill them in with little drawer organizers that you can put little things in so that everything has a place. You can even label these if you really want to define that space. So that's the drawers. Then you want to think about your upper cabinets. So your upper cabinets, you know, are a little bit more narrow than the lower ones. The lower ones are, fit the big stuff, the pots, the pans, the crock pots, all that stuff. So in your uppers, you want to put things like dishes, glasses. I like to have my spices near my stove, the ones I use every day. So I have like a little spice basket. You see it's narrow, so it fits on the upper cabinets that are more narrow, but yet I can put it on a higher shelf and pull it down and get to what I need. When you don't have them in a container, you buy duplicates because you can't find your cinnamon or your oregano, and you go and buy duplicates because they're shoved back in there somewhere. And sometimes you just don't use them because you're so frustrated you've got to pull everything out just to get to the one in the very back. It allows you to use an upper space. I have really tall cabinets. I am not a tall person, so I can use those upper spaces by just grabbing that basket down and bringing it. Also in a pantry, you might want to use containers. I don't encourage you to use containers for everything. It can be very time consuming when you come home from the grocery store and have to put everything away. But I do use containers for the things I buy and store all the time. So if I run out of one, I'm going to buy a duplicate. But if I buy a cereal that's just on a whim, I'm not going to have a container and a label for that. I'm just going to keep it in the box because it is very time consuming, like I said, when you come in and you have to put everything in containers. So these are some containers you can see that I just put the stuff in there, label. I think of what size package I'm going to use, pick a container that fits that size. These are different sizes, and contain and label it. And then there'll be other things. You just don't want a lot of loose stuff in your pantry, so you might use another kind of basket to store like baking supplies or something like that. But keep all those items stored. If you have a deep pantry, containers are even more important because when you have a shallow pantry, I've seen pantries like 6 inches, and those are actually some of the more functional ones because you don't have stuff getting lost behind it. But when you're using containers on a deep pantry, you can have layers of containers, or for like what I do, I have my containers in the front, and if I have extra almonds, I throw them behind that container, and then I know to look behind the almond container to see if I have extra almonds, pour them in there. If not, I know to put it on the list to go to the store. So then your lower cabinets, those are going to be the ones that store things like pots, pans, appliances, big bulky stuff. And you want to really think through all those gadgets you have. If you're not using them, get rid of them. I know we paid good money for some things. We thought it would save our lives. It would make life easier, but sometimes they just don't work out for us. So donate them to charity. Let somebody else be excited about that. Using the inside of the lower cabinets. So your doors can be a space where you can put a lot of things. This is a towel rack. You'll probably recognize it because it goes on the outside of a drawer or a cabinet door, and you store a towel. But it also has other uses. Flip it around to the inside of the cabinet door and hang your cleaners on it. It allows you not to have to use the space under your sink that can only go so far, and all you do is pull out your cabinet door, take the cleaner off, and put it right back. It's really easy to store it that way. Also, inside the cabinet door, you can store your plastic wraps and foils. This can take up at least a full drawer in most homes. So this actually has a second layer in the back, but I didn't use it because they'd be falling out everywhere. This just attaches to your door and again swings out and back. Just put it somewhere close to where you put away leftovers, make lunches, whatever is convenient for you. Last, for the inside of cabinet doors, and there are many more options, little bags from the grocery store. You know, people keep oodles of these, especially now that they're charging for, or we're charging for them. Not since COVID are they charging for them, but keep those in one of these little organizers. You put this at the top, and you shove the bags in there, and then you pull them out when you need them. And that also gives you parameters, because people tend to save too many of these. And, you know, they're taking up a whole cabinet. We don't want to take up a whole cabinet. This is just a simple space on the door, doesn't take up anything. And when that's full, you don't need to store anymore. Also, on the lower cabinets, inside the cabinets, if you have things like cutting boards, pans, I like to divide out the cabinet. And of course, there would be a whole lot more than this in there. But you have this little rack where you put it down in there. Or it could also, I've used it on my uppers sometimes. There are some spaces like above your fridge. If it's big enough for those pans, they're easy to reach. And that tends to be a spot that you don't use as often because it's above your fridge. So either above your fridge or one of your lower cabinets, you might have to flip out some shelves to make it fit, but have them all lined up so you can grab what you need when you need it. Those are a couple of the things that I recommend in kitchens. Like I said, there's a solution for anything. So if you come up with, get stumped organizing your kitchen and don't know what to do, you can always give me a call and I will be glad to walk you through, show you some products that might work for you. So when you get your kitchen all organized, is it going to stay that way? No, it will not. It is not magic just because you use some containers and get it organized. We know that's a space in the home that's probably used, we know, at least 3 times a day, but probably more. You've got to be diligent about maintaining that organization. And that means not letting people set things on surfaces. You know, just because there's a space on the counter now, that doesn't mean that's where all the mail goes or junk that you don't know what to do with. Go and make sure that gets put away and that space stays clear so that you can, you can cook and use that space. Also, you want to make sure that your dishes are done. I like to do them anytime I use a dish. Our family growing up, they knew if you used a dish, I don't care if it's just a knife, you rinse it, you put it in the dishwasher. If you use something, you wash it, put it in maybe the dish drainer. Whatever it was, you never left a dish in the sink. Now, you may be different. You may say, well, I'm going to do it once a day or once after every meal. But do it consistently. Don't let the dishes get out of hand, because then, like I said, you come in to make dinner after a busy day and you've got to do dishes, you've got to catch up, you've got to clear those spaces so that you can make dinner. But definitely keep those spaces clear, keep the dishes called up. When the dishwasher is full, run it. When they're dry and done, put them away. Same thing with the dish drainer. Before you start putting more dishes in there after the next meal, make sure those dry ones are put away. It's simple, but can really save you a lot of time. Then another thing I like to do is when I go to the grocery store, I like to spend a little bit of time before and a little bit of time after. So I don't want to rush my grocery visit. That's probably why I do it on the weekend. So I go through my cabinets, my pantry, straighten up. At that point, I might realize I'm out of something. Put it on my list. Do the same in your fridge. Get rid of the old leftovers, things you don't need anymore. Look at the, what you need. Maybe I need some salad dressing. It's getting low. Add it to the list. Then you have a more complete list. But also, when you come home, you're going to have space for all that stuff you're bringing home. And you might even wipe down the shelves, whatever you want to do. And then when you get home, spend a little bit of time. Because, if we bring home the groceries and then all of a sudden it's time to run off and get the kids, and we jump from one thing to the next, we're going to leave all that stuff out. And then we come home and cook dinner, and then we get behind. So leave some time to put those things away properly, neatly, and then you're ready to go when you come in to make dinner. So those are some of the things I like to do to keep my kitchen organized. I hope this will help you so that you can create fun memories with your family. I know that they say families that eat together are healthy mentally, physically, but also do well and better in school. I know those are the times when my kids would always open up. That's the time when my husband and I catch up from the day. And our conversation is always positive and good. And so eating together as a family, eating healthy meals is so beneficial. If you have an organized kitchen, that's going to make it much, much easier. So thanks for joining us. Please put comments below. Ask any questions you want. I'll be glad to answer those. If you need our help, we are going into homes now. We have strict COVID protocol. We're wearing masks. We're spraying and disinfecting areas. We're all being careful with ourselves, not leaving the house other than going to see clients, and only seeing clients that haven't been out and exposed. So we're very careful with what we do, but we can come in, get that kitchen organized before the holidays get here, and make sure you have an enjoyable time, whether it be hosting Thanksgiving or Christmas or just eating more meals at home. We'd love that opportunity. Just give us a call, and you can always call me with any questions you have. Thanks.